Most people assume children in foster care were abandoned by parents who disappeared forever. That wasn't my story. My parents were alive, and they came to see me almost every month. They just never took me home. Every visit began the same way. I'd hear a car pull into the parking lot, grab the little backpack I always kept ready, and convince myself that this time would be different. Every child in that building dreamed about hearing the words, "Pack your things, you're going home." My parents would hug me, ask how school was going, and bring me small gifts. Sometimes it was a toy car, sometimes a chocolate bar, sometimes just a new sweatshirt. Then they'd smile, promise they'd see me soon, and leave without me. I remember standing by the window long after their car disappeared. I'd keep watching the empty road, hoping maybe they'd forgotten something and would come back for me. They never did. When you're a child, you don't question adults. You assume they know something you don't. So I kept telling myself there had to be a reason, even if nobody was willing to explain it. As the years passed, I moved between foster homes, changed schools, and celebrated birthdays with strangers who did their best to make me feel wanted. They were kind people, but kindness can never replace the feeling of belonging to your own family. The older I became, the more confusing everything felt. My parents weren't dangerous. They weren't in prison. They weren't addicted to drugs. They looked like an ordinary middle-class couple living an ordinary American life. Friends at school would complain about their parents grounding them or making them clean their rooms. I'd smile and pretend to understand. Deep down, I would have traded anything just to be grounded by my own mother. Eventually, I stopped packing my backpack before visits. Hope is a strange thing. It doesn't disappear all at once, so it slowly gets replaced by disappointment until expecting nothing feels safer than expecting love. Still, one question followed me into adulthood. If they loved me enough to visit me for years, why didn't they raise me? Why was I the child they always left behind? I carried that question with me for more than 2 decades. It stayed in the back of my mind during college, at my first job, and every birthday I celebrated alone. Some questions grow older with you. When I was 26, I finally decided I couldn't keep wondering forever. I called my mother and asked if we could meet. She suggested a quiet diner outside Columbus. When she walked in, she looked nervous before I even said a word. It was almost as if she'd been expecting this conversation for years. We ordered coffee, but neither of us touched it. I didn't accuse her. I didn't raise my voice. I simply asked, "Why did you leave me in foster care when both of you were alive?" She stared at the table before speaking. Then she admitted that after I was born she suffered severe postpartum depression and never felt the bond she thought every mother should feel. She said they kept visiting because she hoped those feelings would finally appear. Every visit was another attempt to become the mother she wanted to be. According to her, that day never came. Then she told me something that almost sounded reasonable. She said they simply couldn't afford to raise a baby back then. Money was tight, and they believed foster care would give me a better start. For a moment, I believed her. After waiting my entire life for an explanation, I wanted it to make sense. It felt easier to blame poverty than to believe I had been unwanted. A few weeks later, I learned I had a younger sister. She was born only about 18 months after me. She grew up with both of our parents under the same roof. I found family photos online, birthday parties, Christmas mornings, school plays. Every picture showed the childhood I had imagined for myself. That's when my mother's explanation stopped making sense. If they couldn't afford one child, how did they suddenly afford another? If she couldn't love me, why was she able to love my sister? Those questions hurt more than anything she had said at the diner. I realized I hadn't been comparing myself to strangers all those years. I'd been compared to the child who came after me. I never blamed my sister. She hadn't chosen any of it. She simply lived the life I had dreamed about since I was old enough to understand what family meant. For days, I replayed my childhood in my mind. Every visit, every goodbye, every promise that maybe next time would be different. Suddenly those memories felt heavier. People often say the truth sets you free. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it simply replaces hope with certainty, and certainty can be much harder to carry. My mother reached out a few more times. She wanted to keep talking. She said she understood why I was upset and hoped we could slowly rebuild our relationship. I realized I had spent years chasing answers, not a relationship. Once I finally had the answers, there wasn't much left to say. I didn't scream. I didn't accuse her. I simply stopped calling. Some distances are created by miles. Others are created by choices that can never be undone. Today, I don't live with anger. Carrying anger for decades only gives the past more power than it deserves. But forgiveness doesn't always mean inviting someone back into your life. If I ever have children of my own, they'll never have to wonder whether they're wanted. They'll never stand at a window watching my car disappear. Because every child deserves more than visits. Every child deserves to know that when the day is over, someone is coming home with them. I spent years asking why my parents left me behind. I don't ask that question anymore. The answer won't change my childhood. What I can change is the future I build for myself. Sometimes healing begins the moment you stop waiting for the people who were supposed to choose you. I hope my story reminds someone that another person's failure to love you is never proof that you were impossible to love. I was never the problem. I was just a child who kept waiting at the window, and one day, I finally walked away from it.
In the darkness, I could feel her thinking about somebody else. Some old secret she keeps hidden high up on the shelf. It's all covered in dust, holding up some old book supposed to teach about heaven and hell. In the darkness, I could feel her thinking about somebody else. I hear country music playing in the background. Some old sweet melody about the life we lead, the love that we never found. I said I love you, honey, now, yeah. Just keep doing what comes natural in the heat of the night. And if we're lucky, that country music may get